right? So I have a very clear deal with my brain as a third party. My brain is a third party. So it's allowed to give me only two types of thought. The third, it gets kicked out of my room, right? And comes back with a better thought. So my brain can bring me a joyful thought or a useful thought, right? If the thought is joyful, we will go along with it. If it's not, I will stop it, right? So every morning I wake up and my brain will tell me, I'm not making this up, I love that boy so much. Every morning I will wake up and my brain will say, Ali died. And every morning I will wake up and deliberately say, no brain, Ali lived. Ali lived is the same thought. But when I remind my brain that Ali lived, I get 21 and a half incredible years of all of the wonderful moments that we spent together. It's the same thought, like Ali died, but Ali died would bring his image in the intensive care room. I don't want that image because it's useless.
It's the 21 years of bliss that you had, and then what you're doing with it now that drives, that this fuels the same thought, but there's different outcomes.
And the outcome is so different. The outcome is so different. When you lead your brain as a third party, suddenly your brain does amazing things. So same applies to useful thoughts. When Ali died, my brain started to say every single minute for the next 4 hours, it had one thought, repeating over and over and over, you should have driven him to another hospital. Until out loud, I told myself, what can I do with that brain? What can I do with that thought? Can I go back and drive him to another hospital now? Can you please go back and find me a better thought? Just like I'm talking to a third party, a friend who's constantly complaining, right? And my brain was like, okay, let me think about that, right? 4 days later, it came back and said, hey, what about if we share his model with 10 million people and make them happy? Would that be a good thought?
Yes.
I was like, yeah, I'll take that. Let's do it, right? That's a great thought. And does it bring him back? It does not bring him back. Understand this.
You have a contract with your brain to not allow needless suffering.
Absolutely. Don't waste my life. And by the way, I learned that as an executive, right? So people would walk into my room and complain. And, being courteous, I listen for the first 10 minutes. And then after 10 minutes, what do good executives say? They say, okay, what's good about this situation, right? Or what can we do about it? What do you want me to change? What actions can we take, right? And once you do that, the person on the other side, now that they've vented a little, they will say, well, but I also like this, and maybe we shouldn't change that, but maybe we should do this. Great. That's the kind of thought that we want. Incessant thinking is useless. It's just complaining.